Welcome back. Let's continue here now. Traffic officials are out in full force across the country. In KwaZulu-Natal, traffic picked up this morning but was expected to peak about lunchtime. Operations manager of the N3 TC says the southbound traffic heading to KZN was averaging 1,200 vehicles per hour earlier today. There have been no reports of disruptions to traffic flow on the N3 route in KwaZulu-Natal and Heidelberg in Gauteng. Satellite stations have also been strategically deployed on the N3 route as a base for law enforcement, road traffic management and emergency services. Law enforcement in the province has also increased roadblocks and police visibility in so-called hotspots areas. At the same time, the OR Tambo district municipality is cautioning road users to be alert on the road, especially between Mthatha and Port St. John's this Easter weekend. 2 sections of the R61 were severely damaged by floodwaters 2 weeks ago. Well, as families make their way to various destinations this Easter weekend, parents and guardians have a big responsibility to ensure safety for children. We take a closer look at the Safe System approach to road safety initiative by the United Nations, which aims to ensure a safe transport system for all road users. Road traffic injuries are the leading cause of death for children and young adults aged 5 to 29 years of age. However, the number of children killed in motor vehicle accidents has declined dramatically in South Africa. Based on 2021 figures, children now account for 2,257 deaths out of the 12,541 annual total, a decline of 55.62% since 2012. Now, to take this discussion further, we're now joined via Zoom by Peggy Mars, founder of Wheelwell, a non-governmental organization that focuses on road safety for children. Peggy, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We know that children are the most vulnerable group, and they don't have much say as to what happens on the roads. What has been your involvement and your findings on just road safety concerns, particularly when it comes to children?
Well, we founded an NGO called Wheelwell that focused specifically on children in road safety. That is because children are so much more vulnerable than adults, and also children are not the drivers. So they are really in the hands of the adults around them. And we have found that there is a huge amount of ignorance on the importance of using car seats and the benefits of using car seats for children.
It is good to know, though, like I said in my introduction, that we are seeing some of these road accidents reducing, particularly in South Africa. But what is concerning is that speeding and alcohol abuse continues, and they obviously contribute immensely on road crashes. How can children be protected in these instances?
Well, for children as passengers, it is absolutely important that children are restrained in the appropriate child restraint or car seat. And children under the age of 3 by law must be in a child restraint. And after 3, children must be in a car seat if one is available. If not, the children must use a seatbelt and sit at the back. Even if there's no car seat available, just by placing your children on the back seat is already safer than having them standing in the car or sitting on the front passenger seat.
Is there room for other road users, to try and enforce this, where fellow road users are not, adhering to this basic rule? I mean, I don't know how many times when I'm on the road, I see children in front seats, plenty of time on the lap of an adult where the back seat is empty pretty much. What can we do as citizens, to take over such a violation, I would say, because it poses such a risk and danger to children?
I advise that we approach that with empathy. Many parents cannot afford a car seat, and it gets complicated. So I found that mostly parents, if I approach them directly, with wagging the finger, they take huge offense. But if I say to them, there is a solution, you can come to Wheelwell where you can get a car seat for a donation that you can afford. then they know there's a way that they can get a car seat, and then it goes so much better.
And as far as law enforcement agencies are concerned, what role do they play? And are you seeing them enforcing the law in those instances? Should they then come across such incidences during like a roadblock, as an example?
Yeah, I have found that they hardly ever enforce the Car Seat Act, and I think it is due to lack of training. And the Car Seat Act says that the children must be in an appropriate and correctly certified car seat. And our Metro Police and police force are not trained on these matters. So they shy away from enforcing the law. And I think that is sad. So many more children's lives can be saved if they are in child restraints.
When we look at, just some of the recommendations by the United Nations as an example, to ensure safe transport systems for all road users, one also questions scholar patrols and scholar transport. What then happens in that regard? What are the parents, what are the legal confines for parents, for instance, in a scholar transport? I mean, should they also be enforcing that from the Department of Education, as an example?
Unfortunately, children in public transport or any transport that you pay for is exempt from using car seats. And this is due to the practicality of it, because especially in minibuses, those vehicles are used for adults as well. And then it's a case of having to take out the car seats and put them back in, and nobody does that. So public transport is exempt. Also, families traveling in a taxi, for instance, if they put a kid in a car seat on a seat, then they have to pay a fare. So what we can address in public transport and school transport is that we ask that a child sits on a seat with a seat belt. Currently, the loading of children in vehicles stipulates that children under 3 don't count, and children between the age of 3 and 6, 2 children will count as a person for the purposes of loading that vehicle. And that is because children are basically seen as mass, as opposed to individuals and people or a person like we do, Children in school buses are relatively much more safer than in vehicles or in minibuses due to the size of the bus. If in a normal crash, children in a bus would be much safer. Unfortunately, if a bus leaves the road, then the children are still in danger.
Peggy, as we wrap this conversation, a little earlier on, you mentioned, that it is very important that we approach those that do not necessarily have car seats in their cars with empathy, and that your organization does provide some. So just give us a little bit more information there for somebody that is listening to this conversation in terms of where they can seek help.
Certainly. Now, the Super Quick dealerships are drop-off points for parents who want to drop off their used car seats. These car seats are then brought to us. We will clean them and check them for safety before they are made available to parents who cannot afford them new. They are welcome to go to our website, www.wheelwell.co.za. Or they can just Google car seats for kids and they will find us. We operate from a showroom in Randburg, but we really try our level best to get car seats to people in more remote areas as well.
All right, Peggy, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and of course, just giving us that critical information how to protect children who are in a transport mode. Peggy Mars, founder of Wheelwell, a non-governmental organization that focuses on road safety for children.